I think that we need to think about employers and the role that they play in helping people into a role in society which they can feel good about. And how employers need skills to be able to support their employees that have got barriers. They need the flexibility to fit roles to the individuals instead of fitting the individual to the role. We need to think about the skills that this person is going to bring to our workplace and how can we best fit those skills into our workplace and harness the potential of this individual. We need to understand people's circumstances, and I mean that in quite a real way. That we need to think, well, I understand you've got children at home sick, and you just can't come in. And I'm an employer. It's really annoying when my employees have children at home sick, but it's a reality, and it's a reality that everyone has to cope with. So actually really building that into your workplace and building in a plan for it rather than going, well, this just won't do, this isn't good enough. And also valuing the different experiences and abilities that people bring. For example, because someone's got a disability, a physical or a psychological disability, they've actually got some valuable knowledge and experience that we don't have if we don't have that same disability. They know what it's like to be treated differently, and they've had experiences that we may never have. Those are good things to bring to the workplace, not things to ignore. I think we really need to think about work and what we're calling work. We need to change the way that we're viewing work, where it takes place. And at the moment, we kind of have this idea that work takes place, everyone gets in their car or in some public transport, goes off to the office or the factory and works there and then goes home again. And that's our standard view of work. There's a few things that sit outside of it, but that's how we're seeing work. Work can happen in the home, and work obviously does for those sole parents for a starter. But work can happen in the home in lots of ways, and we're on the edge of the 21st century, where technology is taking us to a place where there could be a lot more work from home if we ever get broadband. We also need to look at how work is valued. At the moment, we're just valuing people in terms of what money they make. And we're also, our labour market is changing. There's less work for unskilled people, and that work for unskilled people is going to continue to diminish. One of the jobs I've done in the past is pick apples, and at the moment you still get out there and you strap a bag on your back and you pick apples. But I can see that changing in the future, and they were looking at the way they planted orchards to make it more mechanical. Lots of those jobs are going away. We need to think about how it's valued and a social value, that what you're contributing to your community has some value, not just the dollars you make. So we really need to think about our whole definition of work. Now, in summary, what I wanted to say is, if we're talking, and I was interested to hear what Natalie said, that we're going to have a whole lot more jobs soon because a whole lot of people are retiring and that blimp is going away. So we are talking about bringing people who haven't been in the workforce and people who don't have established roles in the workforce into the workforce. I think it's important that we don't deny that people have these barriers to employment. We don't minimise those barriers and pretend they're not there, that we do value the different abilities and experience, but that most of all, we respect and empower people. And that needs to start happening when we're engaging with people who are looking for work. Right at the moment, my experience is that people who are being engaged with looking for work feel very disempowered, and they feel like they're useless because they can't find a job. And they're in a system that runs sanctions, and if they can't find a job, their benefit starts getting stopped and cut back into if they're not following all the rules, which they don't always know. We need to turn that on its head, and we need to start giving people confidence that they actually can find a job and there will be a role for them, and we can work with the employers to make sure that they're respected and empowered in that role. They need to be supported far beyond simply being placed in a job, and we need to make sure that job is going to be long-term and sustainable.